Okay folks, this is slightly different in a way, although we're actually harking back to, I think it's the most popular video that I've done on my channel. I mean, I don't get hundreds of thousands of views, I don't even get thousands of views in most of my knives. I'm lucky to get 1,000, but one that has produced well over 1,000 views is this, which is the Böker Wasabi. So I'm determined to shut here. This has been viewed an awful lot of times, and I think because it is slightly unusual for a UK carry knife, it's sort of based in this type of knife, which isn't something you'd normally see on my channel because it's strictly illegal here. This knife is a flipper with a lock, and it's way over the 3-inch mark, probably nearer 4 inches in length, and so this is just totally illegal in this country. But it's a nice, stylish sort of knife that is also a nice drop shutty blade and an easy flipper. Because the blade is long and heavy, it rarely fails to fully deploy, even with my dodgy hands. This particular knife is a FURA gear with D2 blade, titanium handles, and it doesn't suit my knife collection. I really, it shouldn't be in my collection. It's got no right to be there, but I just quite like it because it's just kind of slim and elegant. But talking of slim and elegant, we have, let's say, the Böker Wasabi, which is probably the most popular knife I've reviewed, and I've also got the, and then I'm introducing here the CRKT CEO, only this is a slightly different version. The original CEO is a thumb stud knife with I think it's about an 8.5 centimetre blade, so an inch and 3.4 inches or something like that. Certainly well over the 3-inch mark. Would be illegal in the UK. So what Heinnie Haynes have done is they've done their own edition of it, which has done a similar thing to what Böker Plus had done with the Wasabi. The Böker Plus Wasabi is based on a custom knife, but they've taken it here. They have retained the flip because it's not yet illegal to have a knife in the UK that has one-handing opening or flips. Although the latest iteration of the Offensive Weapons Act does make it more difficult, or well, potentially more difficult to have flipper knives. There's a risk that they could be defined along with flick knives and gravity knives and become specifically illegal. It's not happened yet, but we're on the verge of that, and so perhaps that's the reason why when Heinnie Haynes have done their version of the CEO, they haven't retained the thumb stud opening. Instead, they have gone for a nail neck opening on the blade with a cutout in the handle. The other thing that has gone from both of these knives is that they don't lock. They're both detent knives. Now I don't know whether that's altogether a good thing or not, because it does mean there's absolutely nothing holding them open, but at least you're not going to get arrested for having one. These are legal to own knives because they're detent knives. Now the detent on the Wasabi is very, very minimal, but it has this elongated tang, which means that you can put your thumb on the back of it and it's not going to fold because your thumb acts as the lock. In truth, if you're using any sort of non-locking knife properly, they're not really likely to fold on you. But anyway, so this is the Kansei design based on very attractive custom knife, but this is priced in at the between 40 and 60 pounds, depending on whether you have wood G10 or, in this case, carbon fibre, which is the most expensive version. Cocobolo is a little bit cheaper, and there's a G10 version. The CEO that we're going to look at today is G10 in the handles, but it's milled nicely, gives it a bit of a pattern, and it does look quite nice. Now this again is a detent knife, but the detent in this one is rather stronger. When it opens, I'll let you hear it, has a reasonably good thunk to it, and when you go to close it, unlike the Wasabi, you do have to apply some degree of force to the back of the blade to break that detent. Now it's not a strong slip joint, and once you have broken the detent, there's literally nothing after that to stop it closing. Now there isn't a spring firing it into your finger, so that's quite a good thing, but equally there's nothing to resist it. Now I'll show you the markings on the blade, because it runs on bearings, so you can see the IKBS symbol on the blade, which again sort of brings you back to the Quaken sort of idea, although this isn't a Lucas Burnley design, this is a Rogers design for CRKT, and CRKT on the clip is a bit blatant. I think the clip on this actually is not desperately attractive. It's tip up only. Now that in itself, for a knife like this, is actually probably not a bad thing, because there's very little holding that blade shut. So having it in your pocket that way up with the blade down is, for once, probably the better way to do it, because that blade could fall out, and you could jab yourself with it, but if the point is towards the bottom, that's probably safer. Now the Böker is the same, but the real difference between the Böker and the CRKT is the Böker's clip is really quite attractive. It could be a deeper carry clip. CRKT blade clip is a deeper carry clip, which is quite good, but the Böker clip is by far the nicer. CRKT, it just looks crude by comparison, certainly to my eye. But when you open the knife with a nail nick, it does have a very attractive, long, slender, curved blade. Now the original CEO has a nice swedge on the back. The swedge is gone. It's been replaced really effectively by the nail nick. I take it they felt that if they'd slimmed out the back of the blade with the swedge, it might be more tricky to catch hold of the nail nick. I think that's a shame, because the swedge did look nice on the original CEO. But there we are, it is what it is. I think the Böker blade is particularly pretty. It's got also it's relatively easy to open. I mean, you know, even given my dodgy hands, I can still open it. These are similar in size. The Böker's slightly broader. The CRKT is slightly narrower. The Böker blade is more, it's almost sodbuster shape. It's nearer parallel. In fact, you could see it as a reverse lamb's foot, in that it gets thinner as it gets to the point, except that in the lamb's foot, this would be the edge on this, the edges here. But they're both very pretty nice. I quite like the way they've done the end cap of the CEO. There's this sort of T-shaped cap put in. It also means that you only need one screw at that end, because it holds everything square, which is certainly very nice. Anyway, I'm really quite fond of this. I think it's a good looking knife. I think they're both good looking knives actually. The Wasabi's been a sort of favourite for a long time. It's a practical user knife as well. That blade is very thin in profile, and there's no step in the blade or anything, so it makes a very good slicer, very good for cutting up my apple of a morning. The CRKT is slightly less so because it's a sabre grind, but it still works really well. The blade stock is also quite a bit thicker, which doesn't help its cutting ability as much as the Wasabi. The Wasabi is very slightly more expensive. The CRKT is very slightly cheaper. Which would I choose if I could only have one? Well, to be honest, I probably would go for the Wasabi, but I quite like them both, and I've got them both, and I'm not in any rush to get rid of either of them. I think the Böker's is a better slicer. It's got that tang, which one allows you to flip it, and two allows you to hold it open. The CRKT CEO has a nail nick, which necessitates this cutout in the handle here, which I'm not sure is, hugely attractive. And it is definitely two-handed opening. There's no way you're going to open it with one hand. But anyway, these are both nice knives. The CRKT is out now and available from HeinnieHaynes.com. But that is, I think, all I have to say about it at the moment. So, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, then please click the like button. And as we've just hit 400 subs, which is, to me, an amazing thing, we are racing towards the 500 subs, at which point I'm going to do a giveaway. And I'm starting to sort of set aside items for the giveaway. I'm thinking at the moment, I've got one of these set aside, so it's the CRKT Leon Mar number 5, the blue Heinnie Haynes edition, and I've also set aside 2 other knives which will go into a giveaway at some point. Whether they'll be all for this one, probably, I think. I have this, which might look like it's a Chris Reeves MNANDI. Don't be fooled. This is a Chinese copy of a Chris Reeves MNANDI with dog hair on the blade. Lovely. It's not the same thing, but actually I quite like it. It's a nice little knife, and I've got a Schrade sod buster, which will go into the giveaway as well. Now the Schrade. I actually think that this is one of the better the sod buster knives available today, at a very, very reasonable cost. But it's actually quite nice in the hand. The large version, and I'm sticking to UK legal size for this one, but the large version is a really, really good working knife. This, of course, isn't UK legal. The size is fine. I mean, this is ridiculous, and this is one of those examples that makes the UK legal laws look a bit mad. But it's anyway, it's got a lock, which is apparently a little bit stiff for me to work on camera. I haven't used this knife for a while, actually, to be honest. So it's an elegant knife. So that clip is really nice in your pocket. The Chris Reeve one's better because it doesn't have a screw at the end of it. It's screwed through from the back, and the Chris Reeve's CR monogram goes in where the screw is instead. But anyway, it's a nice knife. So if you subscribe and you hang around until we get to the 500, those 3 knives are going to be my giveaway. So thank you all for watching. Bye bye, folks.